Hey there, Red here, ready to dive into the captivating world of relationship stories with all you amazing listeners on Red Hunt. Is my boyfriend not attracted to me or just not confident in bed? I have been with my boyfriend for 3.5 years now. We have been living together for 10 months, and since we moved in, our sex life has gotten worse. Initially, our sex life was great, but it quickly became mediocre, though we were still having sex at least twice a month. However, after moving in together, I realized that I was always the one initiating sex. We even went almost 2 months without it before I caved in. This made me feel undesirable, unattractive, and insecure. I discussed this issue with him, and he admitted that he was attracted to me but claimed he just isn't a big sex guy. I asked him to start initiating sex because it was greatly affecting my confidence, and he promised he would work on it. However, despite giving him time, there was no improvement. I felt even worse when we went on a double date with another couple who wanted to go to a strip club. We had previously agreed not to go to strip clubs, but my boyfriend was not against the idea when they suggested it. He even argued in favor of going, stating that there was no difference between seeing topless girls on a screen and at a club. This contradicted what he had told me before. I expressed my concerns about going and watching him look at other women, especially because he never looks at me that way. It deeply affected my confidence, and I also brought up the issue of him not initiating sex. Going to a strip club to stare at naked women didn't align with his excuse of not being a big sex guy. He apologized and assured me that he wants to have sex with me, but he still did not initiate it. Since then, we have had numerous discussions about this issue, and he continues to promise that he will try but fails to initiate sex. 2 months ago, he revealed that he avoids initiating sex because he lacks confidence and doesn't know how to turn me on. Initially, I thought this was a valid reason, and it made me feel less undesirable, as he struggled with foreplay. As a result, I would usually take charge. I thought I was doing him a favor, but maybe he knew that he wasn't satisfying me. So, I taught him a few ways to turn me on. Recently, I have stopped initiating sex for 2 weeks, 1 week being because I was sick, hoping for him to take the lead. I even mentioned to him that my time of the month is approaching, leaving only a few more days. He told me he was planning to initiate sex over the weekend, but ended up not doing so, making me doubt his words. I am becoming exhausted by this situation. I genuinely love him, and he is great in all other aspects, but I have reached a point where I have begged and cried for him to simply ask me for sex. I just want to feel desired. I feel pathetic and like I am giving up. I don't know if there's anything else I can do. I'm uncertain if he genuinely lacks attraction towards me, or if his confidence is the issue, or perhaps it's a combination of both. I want to give him one last chance and express the seriousness of this issue. I don't think he realizes that I am considering breaking up with him, especially when we have discussed engagement plans and have already set a wedding date for 2025. How much longer should I wait? It sounds like you've communicated your needs and concerns to your boyfriend multiple times, but he hasn't made any significant changes. You deserve to feel wanted and desired in a relationship, so it might be worth having one final serious conversation with him about how this issue is affecting your relationship and see if he's willing to put in the effort to improve. If there still isn't any improvement, it might be time to reconsider if this is the right relationship for you in the long run. Should I cut ties with my aunt and her family for good, or should I give them yet another chance? I, 29-year-old female, grew up in a small town, and my school life was very tough. Between the bullying and my parents, at the time 55-year-old female and 67-year-old male, fighting due to my dad's mental illness at the time, I couldn't live there anymore. I wanted to leave, so my mom and I made the decision to move in with one of my aunts and their families for my last 3 years of high school. I wanted to live with my Aunt Darcy, but my mom suggested the other one, let's call her Susan, due to religious reasons. The thing is, Aunt Susan is cold. My grandma caused a lot of trauma in our family, particularly with my mom, Susan, and Darcy. That's why I preferred to live with Darcy. Before anything else, it's important to note that my mom was the breadwinner, and even as a school teacher, she financially supported Susan by sending her a monthly check for my expenses, school fees, surgery costs, and other needs. Susan never had to pay for anything, and any expenses she did cover were promptly reimbursed. I kept to myself and focused on writing, art, and schoolwork. I tried not to be a burden on her or her family. For context, I am the youngest on my mother's side of the family, and my cousin Taylor, who is Susan's daughter, is the eldest cousin. Taylor pretended to be my friend, but I suspect it was out of convenience. She has always been very spoiled. Susan and Taylor didn't want my mom to have a girl, and Susan didn't like my name because of a family member she disliked. I don't know if that's jealousy or what, but I believe they were biased against me from the start. Now, let's get into the issues. Susan is obsessed with materialistic things and money. She would make rude comments towards me, like complaining that I never paid her back. She criticized me for using too much toilet paper and frequently made jabs at me in public. When we ate out, Susan, Taylor, and my uncle would treat staff rudely, complain about the food, and demand to see the manager. They flaunted their wealth. Both Susan and her husband, whom we'll call Kirk, were toxic to others and each other. Kirk forced his political views on others, including my cousins and me. He cheated on my aunt when they were first married, making her more insecure. My family suspects that Kirk feeds Susan lies about us because she loves drama. Taylor is aware of this, protects her mom, and has caused past issues with my mom. When I lived with them, Kirk and Susan would say derogatory things about me. Susan even lied to me about my grandmother, saying I would get pregnant by the time I was 15. They were very strict, and I felt suffocated in their house. I had to throw away my pads or tampons in the dumpster instead of the trash because Susan didn't want them in the house, which was embarrassing. I suspect Kirk is a creep. Living in the living room, which had no door and was near Kirk's office, was also uncomfortable. I preferred living with my other aunt, knowing she would provide better accommodations. I begged my mom to let us move back home when my dad got help and was improving, but I stayed because I made friends and had a better school and social life, at least when Susan allowed me to see friends. In my junior year, my dad had a heart attack, and Susan tried to make it seem like he had died when telling me the news. It was sadistic and made me realize my mom was right about her. Eventually, Taylor moved out during my senior year, but when I asked Susan if I could have her room, she refused and said it was for guests, even though we rarely had guests. Taylor then unfriended me on Facebook, which was a big deal to them. I rushed through school and graduated with honors. Susan and my uncle skipped my graduation. Susan had promised to get me a sewing machine as a graduation present, but it never happened. They moved across the country without offering to pay for a plane ticket or anything. They now live far away, and my family feels like Kirk stole Susan away and is spreading lies about us to alienate us. In 2019, my mom's brother Ned went through an unexpected divorce. Ned has a history of being critical and only liking things his way. His fourth wife left him and took her things. It led to him drinking and potentially harming himself. My mom asked Susan to check on him, but she sounded annoyed. Susan ended up talking Ned into cutting ties with my mom and cursing her out. We are still trying to mend things. Susan hasn't apologized, and any apology was vague. I am tired of the roller coaster of emotions with Susan. I'm tired of the drama, verbal abuse from Ned, Taylor, and Susan towards my mom, and worrying about it all the time. I want to cut ties with Susan for good, but unsure if it's the right move since Ned seems to be improving. My mom and aunt think we should give her another chance because she's family, but I don't agree. I want advice on setting healthy boundaries, or if I should officially cut ties with Susan. I'm tired of this mess consuming my thoughts and want to move on. It sounds like you've been through a lot with your toxic aunt and her family. It's completely understandable that you're tired of the drama and want to move on. Setting healthy boundaries and potentially cutting ties with her might be the best decision for your mental well-being. Remember, you need to prioritize yourself and your own happiness. Am I the antagonist for not allowing my husband to loan his brother money for brother-in-law wife's medical bills? I, 28 years old female, and my husband, 27 years old male, have been together for 8 years and married for 3 years. We do not have any children. Although we are not wealthy, we live comfortably. It's important to note that we are from Southeast Asia, so the numbers mentioned here may come as a surprise. My husband is a government employee earning $450 per month, which is slightly higher than the average salary in our country. On the other hand, I earn around $1,500 by working for a UK-based company. It's worth mentioning that my husband and I have the same views on finances. We have combined our income since we got married, and we have an emergency fund, savings account, and a travel fund. The remaining money goes towards essential expenses, including insurance. Currently, we have a couple $1,000s in each of our emergency fund and savings account. As for the travel fund, it only has around $160 since it's the beginning of the year. We have made an agreement that our emergency and savings accounts should only be used in real emergency situations. My brother-in-law, 31 years old, whom we'll call Eric, has asked to borrow $900 from us. Eric's wife gave birth to their second child through a C-section, resulting in a total bill of $1,400. They didn't have insurance and had only saved enough for a normal delivery. Eric earns $350 per month, while his wife is a stay-at-home mom. I informed my husband that we don't have the extra money to lend them. However, I suggested giving them our travel fund, $160. My husband agreed with me, so we sent Eric the money and informed him that we don't expect it to be returned. After a few hours, Eric posted something vague on Facebook that was clearly directed at us. In English, his post translates to, "For those who believe that family can be relied upon during times of need, I hate to burst your bubble, but that's not true. Some of them become arrogant and selfish just because they have a lot of money." We were shocked. My mother-in-law called my husband questioning why we couldn't lend them the exact amount they needed. She found it unbelievable since we always travel and can afford the latest iPhones. In our country, having these possessions signifies wealth. My husband calmly explained the situation to his mother, but she refused to accept his explanation. She called him ungrateful, and then her anger shifted towards me. She blamed me for tearing their family apart. At that point, my husband ended the call. He apologized to me and told me not to dwell on it. However, my mother-in-law began posting numerous Facebook posts portraying us as the villains. Friends and family commented, siding with them. Now, I can't sleep and keep thinking about the situation. I wonder if lending them the money would help maintain peace. Are we truly the ones at fault in this situation? No, you are not the assholes here. You and your husband have clearly thought through your finances and made a decision based on what you can afford. It's unfortunate that Eric and your mother-in-law don't understand your situation, but it's important to prioritize your own financial stability and not let guilt pressure you into making a decision that could negatively affect you in the long run. Am I the antagonist for suing my insecure ex-girlfriend and her family for damaging my belongings? I have been dating this girl for almost 4 years. We're both fairly young and she was great at first. To me, she was gorgeous, athletic, and funny. However, the relationship has been rocky because I realized she was very insecure. She used to have severe acne and was bullied growing up, and I understood why she was insecure. But I always made sure to make her feel comfortable and secure with me. It has been getting worse recently. I have girls talk to me and flirt with me in front of her, and she starts flipping out on me and verbally attacking me. It's as if I'm flirting back, but I'm not at all because I'm happy with my girl. I must add, I don't even make eye contact with most girls. She made me cut off my single guy friends because they like to party, so all I do is work, come home, and play the game here and there. She goes through my phone constantly and I allow her to because I have nothing to hide. She saw a text from a girl that I work with in the group chat. The girl said how I shouldn't bring my girlfriend to the work party because her attitude is ugly. She also said that I shouldn't even be with someone that ugly, and that I'm way too handsome for her. I didn't respond because I wanted to address her face to face with my girlfriend on my arm. However, my girlfriend at the time flipped out again. She kept screaming I should have defended her and kept accusing me of sleeping with my coworker. She even went as far as breaking my phone, which I had to replace the next day. Again, no problem. I should have left her at this moment, but I invested a lot of money and time into making our relationship work, so I didn't want to just give up. The most recent outburst happened when we went out to eat. The waitress was taking our order, and she was a decent-looking woman. I could already see my girlfriend getting insecure, and she didn't want to talk to the waiter herself. She was being rude, so I ordered for her. The night went on, and I tipped the lady a little extra because of my girlfriend's poor attitude. The waiter made a comment saying, "Good tipper and you're cute. I can see why you're taken." I was just thinking, oh my god, here we go. We came home and she started screaming and breaking stuff. She damaged all of my belongings and gaming consoles in my apartment. So I called the police and her parents and sent them the videos and pictures of her acting irate. I'm in the middle of suing her for property damages, and her family told me I did enough damage. They said I should cancel the lawsuit because she's supposedly in a mental institution working on bettering her mental health. They also mentioned how it's too much for them to deal with. This isn't the first time she has done this, and I tried to give her multiple chances to get her act together. I even offered for us to go to therapy together because I loved her a lot. I didn't know she had severe mental problems. Dude, it sounds like you've really been through the ringer with this girl. It's tough when someone's insecurities start affecting the relationship like this. It's probably for the best that she's getting the help she needs, but don't forget to take care of yourself too. How to break up with my long-term BF. I am a 21-year-old female and my boyfriend, who is 23 years old, and I have been together for approximately 5 years. In the first 2 years of our relationship, we had a very close friendship since we were both young and in high school. After I finished high school, I went abroad to study engineering while he continued his studies in our home country. Our first long-distance relationship was filled with many arguments, and I had to frequently travel between countries to resolve our issues. After my first year of college, I decided to take a gap year in my home country. During this time, we spent a wonderful and unforgettable period together. We promised ourselves that the next time I left the country for college, things would be different. Initially, everything went smoothly and we didn't have any fights for a while. However, that didn't last, and we started having large, destructive arguments again and again. At some point, we made amends and I visited my country for Christmas, which was a great time. But now, I am back to being far away from my boyfriend. He is a truly kind, thoughtful, and caring person who will do anything to protect you when he cares about you. I feel completely safe with him, and he has been my best friend from the beginning. We have a lot of shared interests, great physical chemistry, and we love each other deeply. I truly love him and we have built this relationship together. However, for some reason, I find myself thinking about breaking up with him more frequently. It is not because we have been through a lot, but because I feel like my peers and friends, who are also 21, have experienced more and gone through more in their lives. I feel like I rushed through my high school years, partying, meeting new people, living spontaneously, etc. Until I met my boyfriend. Meeting him was also spontaneous and fast, but he gave me a sense of home, and I never wanted to leave him because I loved him so much. I still love him now, but at 21, I feel the need to experience more independence. I want to go on dates with other people, get to know individuals with different personalities, explore new environments, and have less responsibility. I am not considering or desiring to cheat on my boyfriend, but sometimes I wonder what it would be like to be with other people, or how it would shape me as a person. However, I still feel that no one could be better for me than him, based on my experiences and observations. I don't expect someone else to be the perfect match, but after a 5-year intense and intimate relationship, I am afraid of not being able to adapt to someone new. I have been waiting for 3 years for him to obtain a passport and come to me, but for various reasons, he has not been successful. Recently, he finally acquired a passport and applied for a visa, but unfortunately it was denied. It always ends up being me who has to travel, and it has become mentally and physically exhausting for me. I feel obligated to constantly uproot my school, job, and life routine to be with him, but it is not his fault for being denied a visa. I don't know what to do. Is breaking up the right decision, or would it be a hasty choice based on my own personal issues? I feel very helpless and trapped. Long-distance relationships can be tough, especially when they've been going on for such a long time. It sounds like you're yearning for more independence and experiences at this stage of your life, and that's completely valid. It might be worth considering having an open and honest conversation with your boyfriend about how you're feeling, and see if there are any compromises or solutions that can be reached. I snooped on my wife's of 5 years phone and found out how unhappy she is in our relationship. We met 5 years ago and got married 2 years in. We were inseparable. I knew she was the one when she never got tired of my slightly autistic and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder ass. She's incredible. Gorgeous, smart, funny, she's everything I've ever looked for in a partner. But I'm starting to think maybe I trapped her. We had an argument after our Valentine's dinner a few days ago, and she said some really mean things to me. Made fun of my weight gain for one. Things haven't been the same since. She gave me a very generic "I'm sorry for last night" the next morning. But that was it. I didn't even acknowledge it. I haven't been able to make eye contact with her. I'm not interested in talking to her, and generally I have been avoiding her. Yesterday she had the day off and went to a party with friends. I wasn't invited. She never told me about it. She didn't want me there. She didn't text me or call me all day from 10 a.m. until 2 a.m. when she got dropped off without her car. She passed out on the couch. I let my emotions get the best of me, and I opened the Photos app on her phone just to see how her day and night had gone. I didn't find anything out of the ordinary, and honestly, it looked like she had a good time. I opened her text app and saw an exchange with her best friend where she admitted that she said some really mean shit to me the other night. Her friend responded that you said what you needed to say, you know, being the good friend. My wife then replied, I really don't like who I am in this relationship. Her browser window was also open, and there was a page to an article called How to Tell If You're Unhappy in a Relationship. I treat this woman like a queen. All 5 love languages every day. Now it's obvious to anyone reading this, I have trust issues. I am in therapy working on them. My wife knows this. I was cheated on in several previous relationships, going all the way back to my first girlfriend in high school. Since then, I've had a really hard time trusting people, especially relationship partners. My wife and I spent the last 6 months in couples counseling. I stopped paying for sessions because my wife wouldn't do the homework. A few months ago, she went to a wedding and flirted and made out with one of the groomsmen while drunk, and then confessed the next morning. I know she resents me. She doesn't communicate well. She has a bit of an alcohol problem. I'm dealing with some drug medication issues too. But I think she feels like I've caged her into this marriage, and she feels disappointed in what I have to offer. I have 2 kids from a previous marriage. They're both teenagers, and she loves them to death. I guess I need to make some changes, or it sounds like we may be done. It sounds like there are a lot of complicated issues in your relationship that need to be addressed. Communication, trust, and both partners doing the work are key to making any relationship work. It might be beneficial to have an open and honest conversation with your wife to see if there are any underlying concerns that can be addressed together. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.